Welcome, everyone. Today, we are embarking on a crucial journey to understand Microsoft 365 Copilot, focusing deeply on the most important question for any enterprise: how does it keep your organizational information private and secure? Let's get started. Let's set the stage. Microsoft 365 Copilot isn't just another public AI tool. It is an enterprise-grade assistant built into the applications you already use every single day. Why does this matter? Because the modern professional is overwhelmed with data. Copilot automates the mundane, helping you generate proposals, summarize long email threads, and surface actionable insights. You simply type a natural language prompt, and Copilot does the heavy lifting. But as we begin feeding our business data into these powerful models, the immediate question is one of trust. How do we know it is safe? That brings us to our deep dive. Copilot operates strictly under Microsoft's Responsible AI Standard, a framework ensuring every interaction is anchored in security, privacy, and accountability. Take a look at this diagram. Copilot sits precisely at the intersection of your everyday Microsoft 365 apps like Word and Teams and the Microsoft Graph, which represents your organizational data. It merges these two inputs to output secure enterprise productivity. It acts as an intelligent, secure bridge between your daily tools and your proprietary data. Now, let's talk about the absolute core of Copilot's architecture, the trust boundary. When you use public AI tools, your data often goes out into the wild. With Microsoft 365 Copilot, your data never leaves your organization's secure perimeter. Microsoft acts strictly as a data processor under the Data Protection Addendum. Why is this critical? Because it means your intellectual property, your emails, and your customer data are completely walled off. How is this achieved? Through a shared responsibility model. Microsoft secures the cloud infrastructure, the foundational AI models, and the embedded safety systems. In turn, your organization simply maintains its standard user access controls. This deep integration means Copilot inherits all the security and compliance policies you've already established in Microsoft 365. This visual perfectly illustrates the enterprise trust boundary. Inside the box, your data, your security policies, and Copilot all work together in harmony. Notice the red dashed line pointing to the public internet. That represents the strict isolation barrier. Copilot is securely fenced in. Your proprietary data cannot leak out to the public domain. A common fear executives have is, will Copilot expose our confidential HR or finance documents to the rest of the company? The answer is a definitive no. Copilot only knows what you know. It cannot bypass, hack, or override your existing security permissions. This is governed by Microsoft Entra ID and your existing role-based access controls. If a user doesn't have explicit permission to view a specific SharePoint file or Teams chat, Copilot will act as if that file does not exist for that user. When you submit a prompt, Copilot queries the Microsoft Graph on your behalf, using your specific identity token. It is mathematically impossible for the AI to surface files that are restricted from your view, ensuring absolute data compartmentalization across your workforce. Let's trace a user's request. When the user submits a prompt, it immediately hits Microsoft Entra ID for an identity check. The system evaluates permissions in real time. Authorized documents flow seamlessly into Copilot to generate a helpful response. However, restricted documents are hard-blocked, meaning Copilot never even processes their existence. To truly appreciate the security, you must understand the architecture of how a prompt is processed. It is a highly orchestrated, 5-step life cycle. Step 1. Input. You ask a question. Step 2. Grounding. Copilot securely retrieves relevant data you have access to via the Microsoft Graph to provide context. Step 3. Processing. The prompt and the grounded data are sent to the LLM. Crucially, this LLM is hosted in a secure, Microsoft-controlled Azure OpenAI environment, not the public OpenAI service. Step 4. Response generation. The model crafts its answer. Finally, Step 5. Post-processing. Before you see the text, Microsoft applies rigorous content moderation and safety filters. This architecture guarantees that at no point is your data exposed to an insecure environment. This sequence diagram maps the journey of a single prompt. The user interacts with the graph for grounding, which then securely passes the context to our isolated Azure OpenAI models. The LLM generates the raw response, but before it reaches the user, it must pass through the post-processing safety filters. It's a continuous, closed loop of security. We now arrive at the most vital slide of this training: The number one concern organizations have with generative AI is, will my confidential data be used to train the AI, and could my competitors eventually see it? Let me be absolutely clear, Microsoft does not use your customer data, your prompts, or your responses to train its foundational models. This isn't just a promise, it is a legally binding guarantee outlined in the Microsoft product terms. The Azure OpenAI models are stateless. When you ask Copilot a question, the model processes the words to generate an answer, and then it immediately forgets that interaction. It does not dynamically learn from your company's data. Your intellectual property remains exclusively yours, completely isolated from every other tenant in the cloud. This diagram is deliberately simple because the rule is simple. Your prompts and your company data enter the decision node. Are they used for training? The answer is a hard, unyielding no. The data is isolated, and the underlying AI models remain completely unchanged by your proprietary information. If your prompts aren't training the model, where do they go? Auditability and compliance are non-negotiable for enterprise IT. Every interaction you have with Copilot, the exact prompt you typed, and the response it generated is stored securely within the user's Exchange Online mailbox. Why is this brilliant? Because it means Copilot interactions are instantly governed by the exact same compliance rules as your corporate emails. Through Microsoft Purview, your compliance officers can apply default retention policies, say, keeping data for 90 days or apply legal holds during an investigation. If an auditor needs to see what AI was used for during a specific project, they can use standard e-discovery tools to find those Copilot conversations. It brings cutting-edge AI under your existing regulatory umbrella. Follow the path of a Copilot interaction. It moves straight into the user's Exchange Online mailbox. From there, Microsoft Purview takes over, automatically applying your enterprise compliance controls, branching out into e-discovery, strict retention policies, and legal holds. It is seamless and automatic. Security isn't just about locking data away, it is also about active defense during usage. Generative AI introduces new attack vectors, such as jailbreaks or user prompt injection attacks. This is when a bad actor tries to trick the AI into ignoring its security instructions to reveal sensitive system data or do something harmful. Copilot actively defends against this. First, we use Prompt Shields, a specialized AI model whose only job is to detect and block malicious injection attempts before they reach the main LLM. Second, we use Azure AI content safety filters. These filters evaluate both your input and the AI's output in real time, blocking hate speech, violent content, or self-harm material. It is a defense in-depth approach, ensuring that the AI remains a safe, professional tool at all times. Here is our active defense gauntlet. User input first hits the prompt shield. If it's malicious, it's blocked instantly. If safe, it goes to the LLM. The LLM generates text, which then hits the content safety filter. Only if the output is free of toxic content is it finally delivered to the user. 2 strict checkpoints guarantee safety. Let's tie all of this together with a real-time use case. Imagine Hunter, a strategy analyst. At 4:00 p.m., the director asks for an executive summary combining a highly confidential internal M&A strategy with the latest public market trends, due tomorrow. Before Copilot, Hunter would spend hours manually reading files and Googling, risking accidental data exposure if they pasted internal data into a public AI tool. With Microsoft 365 Copilot, Hunter uses Copilot Chat to query both internal SharePoint documents, which are protected by Entra ID, and external web data. Copilot acts securely as the intermediary. It retrieves the public market trends, brings them inside the enterprise boundary, and synthesizes them with the internal M&A data. The internal data never touches the public internet, and it doesn't train the model. Hunter gets a perfect, secure executive summary in minutes, proving that with Copilot, you don't have to choose between speed and security. Look at how elegant this workflow is. Copilot reaches out to gather public web data and simultaneously pulls your confidential internal documents. It performs a secure synthesis completely inside your trust boundary, highlighted in green, and outputs a polished executive report. Absolute efficiency, zero compromise on privacy.